Welcome in. Grab a seat. I want you to treat this explainer as your own private, high-stakes coaching session. You've been promoted because, frankly, you are exceptional at executing tasks. But what got you here isn't going to get you to that next level. Today, we're going to fundamentally shift your mindset. We're going to transition you from merely managing daily tasks to engineering scalable, high-performance leadership systems. It is time to build your mentor's blueprint. So here's our agenda for today, the 5 pillars of your leadership system. We'll cover building the leadership foundation, the decision-making blueprint, pressure testing your choices, aligning team personality dynamics, and conducting high-impact one-on-ones. Mastering these is essentially the ultimate cure for managerial overwhelm. All right, let's jump right into Section 1, building the leadership foundation, engineering your internal state. There is a really stark contrast between a manager who's just surviving and a leader who's actually thriving. When we operate from an ego-driven place, we tend to move way too fast, speak the loudest, and just react blindly under pressure. It's chaotic. But true intelligence in leadership, it actually isn't about having all the answers. It's about using emotional intelligence to dial back your own ego and reactivity. EQ-driven leaders naturally read between the lines. They notice the subtle energy shifts in a room, and they literally pause for clarity. They catch things everyone else misses, simply because they aren't blinded by their own ego. And look, unbreakable mental resilience doesn't magically happen overnight from some massive, earth-shattering life change. It's actually engineered through tiny, daily architectural rituals that compound over time. 5 of them, to be exact. When things hit the fan, train yourself to ask, what next, instead of playing the victim with, why me? You've got to move your body to move your mind. Protect your focus like absolute treasure. Practice just being bored. Literally, put the screens away and just exist for a minute. And this is absolutely crucial. Leave actual blank spaces in your calendar. How can you expect to think clearly if every single minute of your day is completely spoken for? Moving on to Section 2, the decision-making blueprint, replacing gut feelings with structural frameworks. Okay, as a new leader, you are going to be drowning in competing priorities. That's just a given. And relying purely on your gut instinct, it just isn't going to cut it anymore. Enter the Eisenhower matrix. You just run your daily tasks through this simple framework to instantly figure out what needs your execution right now, what you should schedule for later, what you definitely need to delegate, or, my personal favorite, what you should just drop entirely. It is a brilliant filter for getting some much-needed structural clarity. Now, when you're under immense pressure, your perspective naturally shrinks, right? Everything feels urgent. So the 10-10-10 rule is designed to force you to zoom out. When you're staring down a highly emotionally charged decision, just stop and ask yourself, how am I going to feel about this choice in 10 minutes? What about in 10 months? And how about 10 years from now? It's amazing. It instantly recalculates the long-term structural integrity of your choice and completely strips away the panic of the present moment. To really cut through the daily complexity, you'll want to lock down these 5 mental models. First up, the Pareto principle, the classic 80-20 rule. Always be hunting for that 20% of effort that's driving 80% of your outcomes. Then there's first principles thinking, second-order thinking, remembering that the map is not the territory, and a really powerful one, inversion. Instead of asking how to succeed, you ask, what would guarantee absolute failure? And then you just work backward to prevent it. It's literally the ultimate tool for saving yourself from spectacular, completely avoidable disasters. Because better decisions don't come from hoarding more information. They come from having better thinking frameworks. But how do we actually apply these models when things get heated? Well, you've got to install this really simple daily habit, pause training. Step 1, just pause before you speak. Step 2, observe the situation entirely neutrally. Step 3, respond without the emotional drive. It sounds so simple, but you literally have to force a wedge of time between the trigger and your reaction. That tiny split second, that is exactly where your intellect overrides your emotion. Let's look at Section 3, pressure testing your choices, validating the structural integrity of your decisions. Before you commit your team to any major initiative, you have to run a pre-mortem sequence. Here's how it works. Step 1, you step into the future and imagine the plan has already completely and utterly failed. Just total disaster. Step 2, you work backwards with the team to document every single reason why it failed. Then, Step 3, you engineer preventative solutions for those issues today. It's the absolute best way to find the cracks in your blueprint way before it's too late to change course. The calmest, most effective leaders rely heavily on quiet daily habits. Use this exact checklist every single day to gut check the quality of your own decision-making. Ask yourself, Did I actually pause before speaking today? Did I name the tension in the room out loud? Did I manage to separate raw data from my own judgment? Have I finally stopped making big decisions after 9 p.m. when my cognitive load is completely maxed out? And did I pause to ask, what am I missing before pulling the trigger? It's a brilliant self-audit tool to keep your instincts razor sharp. Next up is Section 4, Aligning Team Personality Dynamics, calibrating the human elements of your system. Here's the reality. Your team operates on totally different frequencies. You've got fast movers who crave speed and momentum. You've got deep thinkers who absolutely need time and context. Collaborators thrive on trust and communication. Operators just want autonomy and ownership. And challengers, they need a safe space to push back and pressure test ideas. You've got to adapt your communication blueprint to support these distinct operational styles. Seriously, so much workplace friction isn't actually about incompetence. It's usually just a massive misunderstanding of personality dynamics. So to calibrate this effectively, try running this simple exercise. First, just observe how your team responds when they're under pressure or in conflict. Then, start preparing specific context tailored directly to them before you even step into a meeting. Finally, adapt your communication style to help them perform at their best. We have to stop forcing one rigid management style onto everybody. Instead, let's engineer an environment where radically different profiles can actually thrive together seamlessly. And finally, we arrive at Section 5, conducting high-impact one-on-ones, extracting vital system diagnostics. Listen, instead of defaulting to those autopilot, boring project updates, you need to be a little brave. Ask yourself and ask your team this profoundly uncomfortable question. What conversation is everyone avoiding right now? Because honestly, surface-level safety, that's exactly where trust starts to fracture, and it's exactly where your top talent quietly begins to check out. If you really want to change the game, deploy this specific template for your one-on-ones. Notice how we're actively bringing in those mental models from earlier too. Step 1, ask what behaviors get rewarded here to reveal what's truly valued. Step 2, ask what skill feels out of reach to find that 80-20 growth hunger. Step 3, use inversion. Ask what resources are you missing so you can spot practical blockers before they cause failure. And step 4, close with how can I help you win to create mutual accountability. Doing this completely transforms a polite check-in into a brave, highly productive diagnostic session. As you start deploying all of these systems, please keep this core truth front and center. Weak delegation creates more work. Strong delegation multiplies leadership impact. Don't ever forget that true leadership is not measured by what you manage to accomplish all by yourself. It's measured by how well you engineer a system that builds capacity and lifts up the people around you. So I want to leave you with this final provocative thought from today's explainer. As the true architect of your team's success, are you using these tools to merely defend the past and optimize what you inherited? Or are you actually ready to use this blueprint to build a genuinely new future? The choice and the system is now yours.